Returning to our story, after a night of cocktails with his wife and her stepdad, Lee Ratter has been found dead in his Phoenix kitchen. Suicide, apparently, but his family back east doesn't believe it. Now, an autopsy report will change everything. And one of Lee's two drinking partners is in for a sobering surprise. Again, Keith Morrison.
It was a dark winter in Buffalo for Lee Ratter's family. A beloved son and brother gone and no answers.
I want peace. I want peace for my family.
I think that's the most
peace and
important
answers.
thing.
And peace will come with answers, I'm assuming.
Right.
The family traveled out west for the memorial Belinda organized. Lee's sister Ann begged Belinda for answers.
I went up and said, you know, I need answers. You were there. You must be able to, just tell me what happened. You'll never know what happened.
Not, I don't know what happened myself, but you'll never know.
You'll never know what happened.
And Rob was there, but
Never said a word to us. If my gun killed your son, I would certainly apologize to you.
I don't know if I could ever say anything that would change how they feel. I mean, we all lost someone we loved that day.
yes, and he and Belinda seemed to lose each other too. What had been a warm and loving relationship just kind of evaporated.
We weren't as close, I think, because, my focus had completely changed. After that, I was survival mode.
Whole family came apart, really.
The little one used to call me Grandma from New York. So she would call me and she'd say, hi, Grandma from New York. I haven't heard from her. I have no idea why there's no communications. I've called and my phone calls aren't returned.
But the question wouldn't go away. What happened? The family kept calling the detective, who would only say he was working the case. Rob said it was most certainly a suicide. But as a practicing lawyer, he did the prudent thing and hired an attorney.
Just to let Maricopa County know that I was willing to cooperate.
In fact, his attorney called the police in Arizona to check on the investigation, but nobody seemed interested.
We made those types of inquiries multiple times with them.
And heard nothing?
No.
But the same was not true for Belinda.
They, in no uncertain terms, called me a person of interest. They would come harassingly call my phone, tell me they were going to report me to Child Protective Services if I didn't allow them to interview my children.
The sheriff said it wasn't harassment at all, just a matter of doing their jobs. At any rate, Belinda eventually relented, gave them another statement. This time, her mind was clear. Her timeline jived with Rob Fisher's.
She recalled going to bed by midnight and being woken up by Rob right before his 911 call around 5 in the morning.
Was trying to recall the best of my memory at that point, and I was so dazed and confused and didn't remember in an accurate timeline when they first asked me.
So Belinda was in bed, she said, when whatever happened, and she just didn't have the strength to ask Rob any probing questions.
I was in too much of a state of shock to ask any questions or to think of anything. I couldn't even handle wanting to know anything.
It was almost 6 months after Lee's death, May 2011, when the medical examiner issued an autopsy report. In Buffalo, suspicion confirmed.
It was not ruled a suicide, it was ruled a homicide.
But in Phoenix?
That was completely surprising.
And at Rob's place in California?
There's a level of disbelief. It's, how did that happen kind of thing.
Good question. Because nothing more happened as another year ticked past. Rob's experience as cop and attorney told him this might be a case they simply weren't going to pursue.
You're looking forward in your life. You're not looking over your shoulder.
But Rob Fisher did not know that the case wasn't dead at all. That the person of interest authorities were most interested in wasn't Belinda. It was him.
It just seemed that the only logical explanation to everything was murder.
What caught the interest of prosecutor Jay Rademacher was what police found early that morning at the scene. what looked to the police like staging, how the gun looked placed in Lee Ratter's hand, and the blood where it didn't seem to belong, and the guest bed that Rob had supposedly been asleep in looked untouched.
Once they went into that scene, it just wasn't making sense.
And then, on a spring day, a year and a half after Lee's death,
I was in the driveway and I saw people running up at me with both sides with guns pointed at me. They put me down on the ground and, handcuffed me.
He was extradited to Arizona, booked into the county jail, phoned his wife.
What did you say to each other?
She was crying, and she asked me what she was supposed to do. And I said, I don't know.
Rob's friends, like fellow attorney Chris Miller, were appalled.
Absolutely the last person in the world. Absolutely. I mean, if you told me these 20 other people did it, yeah, okay, But not Rob, not the Rob I know, not our Rob. He didn't do it.
Eventually, Rob was released on $500,000 bail, but would have to remain in Arizona until the trial. He contemplated the case against him best he could.
I've never heard a theory. I've never heard a motive. I've never heard anything.
And he hired a scrappy defense attorney named DwaneCates.
I don't think Robert Fisher should ever have been charged with a crime. Why not? Based on the evidence. There is absolutely no evidence that he killed Lee Ratter.
Coming up, even the prosecutor says he has no answer to this question. What was the motive for murder?
There's no evidence of a disagreement between the two of them. There's nothing like that.
No.
So, what evidence does he have? When Dateline continues.